Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My voice is not 100% today, so just forgive me for that. But continuing on from last time, today I'm going to show that the Litecoin contract on Hashflare is not profitable either. Before I get into that though, I actually made two small mistakes on my previous video with the Bitcoin contract. Doing the video live, it's a bit easy to make a mistake. So I've gone back and changed that. So this is the same spreadsheet I had before. I just updated it, made it a bit cleaner and a bit easier to read. And the mistake that I made was when I calculated the difficulty curve. So we took the log of the difficulty, and then when I predicted it, it should start at 1. And what I did last time is I did the exponential of this formula. So the formula that's come from my fit. So I did 0.0036 times the number of days, and then I added that constant. Now it's the addition of that constant that's going to make this not start at 1. Of course, before, on day 0, the difficulty should be 1. It should be the same as today because it hasn't had time to grow yet. So that was the mistake that I made. To fix that, all we have to do is go back to the trend line, and we just have to set the intercept to 0. If we do that, then we've got 2 lines now. Let's go back. We edit format trend line. Okay, I don't know why the 2 lines are showing up, but basically this is the formula that we actually wanted by setting the intercept to 0. So what I've done is I've gone over here. So let's actually just type that in. So it should be the exponential of 0.0042 times the day, and that will fix it. If I go back to my profitability, I've just put a number here called the difficulty exponent, which is that number we calculated, and the formula is now using that. So it's the exponential of the difficulty exponent multiplied by the day, which is what it should be. The other mistake, which isn't actually being calculated in this sheet right now, is that when I calculated the fee, so this is the payout calculation, you can see what I did here is E8 is the terahash. So I multiplied the terahash by the number of coins, which is fine. So that's our revenue. And then I subtracted the terahash multiplied by the fee, because the fee is per terahash. Then I divide by the Bitcoin price here because I multiply it afterwards. That's a change I made. But then I divide this by the difficulty level, and that's a mistake. So the only thing that should be affected by the difficulty level is the revenue. The fee is always the same. So let's fix that now. So the revenue that I get is E8 times the number of coins. Then I have to divide that by the difficulty. That's correct. Now this one, I can do this. So that gives me the coins. So this is my revenue in coins. Now I multiply that by the price per coin, which is unchanging. Then I subtract my fee, which is unchanging, multiplied by the number of terahash I have. Oh, this can go away. As long as I keep the brackets here, all fine. So it should be between 0 and that. Yep, so now the revenue is being increased by the terahash, multiplied by the terahash. It's being divided by the difficulty and then multiplied by the price. Because I changed the fee into price in US dollars, I don't need to multiply that by the price, but I do need to multiply it by the terahash. So that's the correct formula. And with the incorrect formula that I had here before, we break even at this point, which was about 218 days. If we calculate the fee correctly, then you can see what's happening here is we are getting money we're returning, getting a return on our investment slowly. But then when it hits about, 280 days, we just don't make money anymore. The fee costs more than the coins that we're generating. And again, this is the number of terahash that we would earn, and that will change depending on the reinvestment period. But even after 1 year, at Bitcoin being $4,000, which is not even at that level, we're still not going to return a profit. We're still down about 20%. All right, so I got the same sheet here for Litecoin, and let's calculate Litecoin. So Litecoin's a little bit tricky because in Hashflare, all the payouts are given in Bitcoin. I never actually see anywhere how much Litecoin I earned. If I knew the exchange rate that Hashflare used to convert Litecoin to Bitcoin, I could calculate that. But since I don't, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Litecoin mining calculator. And this is per kilohash. So I'm going to calculate this on a per megahash. So 1,000 kilohash is 1 megahash. It's actually 1,024, but it's no big deal. I'll keep it at 1,000. And if we calculate this at the current difficulty, then we should be earning this many Litecoin per day. And that's roughly in line with the numbers that I'm getting, just in terms of USD per day. So that's a bit promising. So let's go to Litecoin, and how many coins per day? Well, per megahash rather, we're getting that much. Cool. So all of this is rubbish at the moment because that's not the Litecoin price. All right, but Litecoin has a different maintenance and electricity fee. So for them, it's 1 US cent for every megahash. So that makes things pretty easy. We just go here, we type in 0.01, 1 US cent. No problem. Now the Litecoin price, obviously it's going to fluctuate. I always work on something a bit higher than what it really is. So I'm going to work on 50. So the Litecoin price is $50. And the cost per megahash, so that's important. We need to know how much we have to invest for 1 megahash. So if we check on Hashflare, 1 megahash will cost us $13.50. So let's type that in here, 13.50. And all of that should be most of what we need. This formula is still incorrect. I didn't update it, so let's grab the let's grab the correct one. Yep. Cool. And what we have to do now is we should have everything should be fine now. Reinvestment period, again, we could change that to whatever we want. So every second day, every third day, every fourth day. I'll leave it once a month. What we need to calculate is the difficulty curve. So that's what's missing here. Everything else should be accurate. So if I set the difficulty exponent to 0, then this is the profitability that everyone's going to be quoting you on the internet, online, because people don't account for the difficulty. So what they're saying is, after this many days, about 280 days, you'll break even, and then from there you'll just be making money. So after 1 year, you'll make 24% return. But we know that the difficulty does matter, and it's something that does have to be calculated. So we're going to do that the same way as last time. So this is the difficulty increase for Litecoin since February 17. And we're going to do the same thing as we did before. So what we're going to do is we're going to calculate the multiple of the original. So this is going to be this difficulty divided by the first difficulty. Yep. And now we want the log. We've got to calculate the log of the multiple. So this is the log. Why are we calculating the log? Just to refresh, we're calculating the log because if you try and model the difficulty as it is, it doesn't really fit the shape of a straight line. It fits a curve. If you take the log of those numbers it will become linear. So we can predict it much more accurately. So we take the log of this, the exponential. Log of 1 is always 0. And we want to model this data. So it's not quite as linear as the Bitcoin was, in large part because of these initial difficulty changes. So they weren't really increasing, they were being pretty steady. But since then, it has been quite linear. So what I'm going to do is, in my modeling, I'm actually not going to include this data because it's not a good representation of what's going on at the moment. So that's happening from about data point 6, from day 60 onwards. So I'm going to grab 65 onwards. That's all I'm going to look at, which is this one. Why is this? Yeah, that's not too bad. All right, so that's what we've got. And again, so I'm going to remove the trend line just so I don't get two of them. I'm going to add a trend line, and I'm going to force the intercept to be 0, which is what it should have always been. And I want to see the equation on the chart. So this is our difficulty exponent. That's the number we need. So it's 0.0081. So we go back to our Litecoin contract. We change this to 0.0081. And that is actually twice as sharp as Bitcoin. Might be a mistake there. I'm going to run that again just to make sure that the way I cut that data didn't cause any troubles. Alright, so let's insert our line. No, it should be fine. Add a trend line. Set intercept to 0, display equation. Yeah, 0.0081. There you go. That's just what it is. That's how fast the difficulty is increasing, or the log of the difficulty, and that's what we're going to use going forward. So putting that number in here, we calculate the difficulty as the exponential of the exponent multiplied by the day, like before. Filter all that through, and Litecoin is extremely unprofitable. Why is that? It seems outrageously unprofitable. I feel like there might be an error. So we have our mega hash multiplied by our coins. That gives us revenue. That was calculated on a per mega hash basis, divided by our difficulty, which is correct, multiplied by the value in US dollars of one Litecoin. Subtract the fee, which is multiplied by the mega hash. Yep, that's correct. There's nothing wrong there. Litecoin price is 50, cost per mega hash is $13.50, and the difficulty is not quite as predictable as Bitcoin was, probably because there's less data. But if we created a predicted column here, so predict, we have the exponential of 0.0081 multiplied by the day. So if we want to see how our prediction is faring against, yeah, so our prediction is more or less capturing the dynamic of the difficulty. It's just the difficulty has increased so sharply in the recent months. And if that rate continues the way it has been, then yeah, Litecoin is actually worse by a fair margin than Bitcoin. You know, whatever money you put into this Litecoin contract, provided I haven't made a mistake, I'm not sure if I have, I don't think I have. You know, any money you put into Litecoin, you're only going to get 26% of it back. The rest of it's gone. So I would not recommend investing into the Litecoin contract. In other news, so Control Finance has been getting quite a bit of attention recently. And what I'm doing here is, so look, this is my account. Oh, I'm going to sign in. So like I said before, I've put in about $1,000 so far myself. And what I said before is anybody who signs up using my referral link, which is in the description, will get 5% back of their money in Bitcoin. So what I've done is I've set up a little spreadsheet here, a Google Sheet, and this is just an example username. So if you were to sign up with my referral link, I would put your username in here. I'll only put your email here if you want me to make that visible. This will be your deposit, which I can read off the referral page. This is the deposit paid. So if in this example, this person has put in $1,000 and I've only given them back 5% on this much money. So I still have to give, I've given them $6.50 in total, but I still owe them this many Bitcoin, which will be based on the Bitcoin price. On top of that, I'm actually changing up a little bit. So because it's a bit of a math channel, for every $1,000 that you deposit, this rate, 5%, will actually increase by 1%. So if this person had put in 2,000, oh, that's not correct. That should be, there you go. This person put in 2,000, then I would actually be giving them back 6% of all of their deposits moving forward, including all of the prior deposits. So when they put in 1,000, I gave them 5%. Now that they've put in 2,000, I'm giving them 6% of 2,000. That's not just 6% on the 1,000 extra. And I keep track of all that in this spreadsheet. And yeah, this will cap out at 10%. So if you put in, 50 grand, let's just say, that percent's not going to go any higher than 10%. So what that means is if you deposit a lot of money, I'll give you 10% of your investment back immediately. And yeah, so that's this video. I might make these spreadsheets available. I'll add it into the description when they're complete. So right now I've only got Bitcoin and Litecoin, and I haven't talked about Genesis yet. I haven't even done any calculations on BitConnect or Control Finance from a profitability point of view. But when I do, I'll make these sheets available so that people can play around with them and see how they go. Right, so thanks for that, guys, and all the best.